Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant, and welcome to Akulmach. Today, we have a very distinguished personality joining us from UK. His name is Mike Bradley, and he is the Chief Strategy Officer of ScaleUpArena. So, we will learn about ScaleUpArena in a bit, but our discussion today would largely revolve around the gig economy. Why we have chosen this subject? Simply because it has been predicted by a lot of gurus and a lot of experts that in 2021 and onwards, almost 50% of the workforce will be part of the gig economy. So even if you are a very senior person like a CXO, you would still be billed by hours and you will not be employed full time. So without further ado, let me invite Mike. How was the weather in London, Mike?
Well, London, I don't know. I'm on the south coast, so I'm in Christchurch. I'm on the south coast in delightful Dorset, or delightfully digital Dorset, which is the nicest weather in the UK, the best beaches in the UK. I like London, but from a distance.
So it doesn't rain that much where you're located.
No, actually, we're in a bit of an igloo, so we have very good weather most of the time. Today is not raining, is cloudy, but it's not raining. And we had a smattering of snow the other day, whereas the rest of the UK was blanketed in snow. So yeah, we're very fortunate. And in the summer, the weather quite often in the evenings we get a nice sunny evening, and the rest of the country can be in cloud. And if you go north of Birmingham, it's raining. So we're very fortunate.
So, Mike, thank you very much for coming on the show. And before we start, can you tell us a little bit about Scale Up Arena so that we can straight away dive into the gig economy and how Scale Up will fill the gap which exists today?
Sure. Yeah, sure. ScaleUpArena is an ecosystem which energizes and provides nutrients, the ability to survive and grow for emerge ups and scale ups. Emerge ups are the starting to get traction companies. They're bigger than startups, but not yet at the wonderful spot of being called a scale up with 3 years of 20% growth. We support them through 5 key pillars: funding, joint venturing and partnering, showcasing, training and tutoring, and also expert advisory. And it's a global platform, and it's spawning off other ones. We've got another one now called Insure Scale Up. We've got another one which is in launch, which will be for SMEs, SME IT, and enabling the great unwashed, about 80% of the traditional businesses who don't utilize tech in the way they could and should, and it's available for them. So yeah.
Thank you for the brief, Mike. And as we progress into 2021, I think the message is very loud and clear that most of us would be working in the gig economy. That means we'll
Mm-hmm.
be individual, we'll be billed by the hour, and there will be uh, deliverables which will be defined at the beginning of the contract, whether you are a
Yep.
senior person or a junior person. So that is how the shape of things that will evolve as we progress, and that
Mm-hmm.
is why platforms like Scale Up Arena plays a major role. Would you like to tell us how Scale Up Arena will help the Indians, and there are quite a bit of in numbers, how we can find out global opportunities using your platform called Scale Up Arena?
Sure. Well, as you rightly say, the gig economy is growing, and is probably going to become, I don't know, quite the norm, I would suggest, particularly within that emerge up and scale up space, because for 2 reasons. One is the vast availability of gig workers. Those are workers who are independents, as you say. They are on a short-term contract basis, and there's a reason for that has grown so massively is, of course, our wonderful global pandemic has helped to put a lot of people out of work, unfortunately. But those people have got good skill sets, and therefore they're a ready pool of expertise, which is available to the emerging and scaling companies, the emerge ups and the scale ups. And the reason that the gig economy is useful for those sort of companies is because in many cases they can't afford to have a full-time chief marketing officer or a full-time chief strategy officer or a full-time chief technology officer. They need those skills, but they cannot afford them full-time. They probably don't even need them full-time. The vast majority, particularly of the emerging companies, the emerge ups, which could have a handful of people, can be supplying across the globe, but don't actually need to have the full-time staff and the cost, the overhead that goes with that. And of course, in the 21st century cottage industry that we now live in, where we're all working from home, which is what used to happen two centuries ago, we are now able to do these as we are, to discuss globally, support globally, develop globally. So there's massive opportunities because of the availability of gig workers and the demand for that sort of skill set within the ScaleUpArena community.
So a lot of my industry colleagues are experimenting with CXO on demand services, or similar type of services. How ScaleUpArena will be able to help these people who are looking for jobs and can work on project basis? Is there a possibility, or is there an area where ScaleUpArena can help the gig workers?
100%. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of what I call, the term silver foxes and silver vixens, who've got lots of skills to offer into the young growing companies globally. I mean, there are a lot of companies through ScaleUpArena, which is global. We had a meeting the other day where we had people from India, we had people from Africa, we had people from Australia, China, UK, Europe, and also, well, it was a bit early when we had our gathering, but we also have people in the States that are engaging with us, but that not many of them turn up on the meetings. But the point is that there's the ability for these silver foxes and vixens to be listed on the ScaleUpArena in several ways, because maybe they're entrepreneurs and they've got their own businesses and they want to reach out to other parts of the globe and sell online to other parts of the world. Then there's the ability to utilize their local skills, go global and act local skills, because it's still preferable for a buyer to find a supplier who speaks and is part of their culture. So even if you're a global company, you will work through the local people. So if you're trying to enter that massive market in India, the best way to do that is to engage with people who know the Indian market and live there and are part of the culture. And so there's great opportunities for the Indian silver foxes and vixens to make themselves available. They can have a listing on ScaleUpArena. There's three ways they can list. They can list their company as a provider of services and solutions in the showcase. They could list their expertise as a mentor, advisor within the expert advisory micro consulting area, which is exactly the gig economy. And then there's the ability to have their expertise projected in terms of a training course, a webinar, a briefing that they create. And as they create a blog or they create an audio or video, they can also list that within the media cast area, all of which helps to gain their profile. The major challenge, of course, for the gig economy and gig worker is how do people find them? Because it's like searching for a needle in a haystack. Yes, we're listed on LinkedIn, but how do you raise your profile? And of course, on LinkedIn directly, you can post something, you might share it, other people might comment, you might connect with people, but there's no direct mechanism for promoting yourself. The benefit of being part of an ecosystem like ScaleUpArena or Insure ScaleUp, or in the near future for SMEIT, means that by associating with these other brands, it's like an online supermarket. So an online marketplace, and people will come there to find other things. They can easily search. I say to people these days, don't bother trying to browse the site. Just do a search. When you're on the site, look for Chandrakant, and up you'll come with Akulmach, because they'll find you by searching your text and your entries. It's a much quicker way to find you. Someone might say, actually, I want to search somebody who is a cybersecurity expert, or a CXO for a SaaS provider, or I'm looking for a SaaS platform that can take me to 22 countries. We have all of those within the ScaleUpArena ecosystem.
Excellent, Mike. In fact, there could be instance where the ScaleUpArena will have like 10 resources available, and in those cases, how the ScaleUpArena will help viewers which person to engage with. Is there a facility of some sort of a rating available?
Well, no, there isn't. Well, there is and there isn't. I think ultimately, people have to make their own decision. We don't try and give them a preference, but what there is on each entry is the ability for the company to have use cases, to have client quotes. They can have little video clips. They could have the same on a webinar entry. They can have the same on their expert advisory mentoring listing. So there's the ability to have quotes there. And so, you can have client endorsements that way. The other way, of course, is to come along to various of the special interest group meetings or the virtual gatherings. People get to see the face, they hear your voice. It's a friendly, professional environment. We're all geared to the 5 C's, as I call it: connecting, communicating, cooperating, collaborating. And what we all want to do, particularly with that Indian culture, is closing. So, it's all geared to that. We're all geared to trying to support each other. It's a tough old world out there, and we have to differentiate. But the way you differentiate is by getting to know people. And the ecosystem is a great way for promoting your wares, social media engagement, but also for engaging with people face to face, online, reaching the other parts of the world we wouldn't have reached before, the likes of Zoom and Teams and Hangouts, which now make the world a smaller place. So that, of course, we hear a lot about the negatives of social media, but there's actually far more benefit from a positive angle than a few unfortunate trolls who go around making a bad name for these things. I've worked in communications for many years, and I don't think there's ever been a better time to work together on a global basis, which is what we're doing with the ecosystems with ScaleUpArena and Insure ScaleUp. It's just we're making that world smaller, more engaged, more positive. It gives the other benefit, of course, is that we allow the gig economy workers. They've all got networks. They've all got people they know. They can get you into the Tata Comms or Tata Teleservices or BSNL or somebody, and those connections are very valuable to other service providers in the ecosystem. So the other benefit for a gig worker to be part of an ecosystem like ScaleUpArena or Insure ScaleUp is their black book. And so part of what we do within ScaleUpArena is allow them to refer somebody from their network for a service that's on the site, or a mentor on the site. And again, because it's come through a third party, a large ecosystem and brand, it's much better than a cold call or just a standard sort of email. It's an endorsement in a way of saying, I will introduce this company. So it's a great way to monetize somebody's black book. So, and what we do with ScaleUpArena, if you become a member of the group and the ecosystem, we ask for 15% generally of your sale or your consultancy, and we then share that with the person who's referred you. So if you've got 50 great contacts and you can sell services to them, you can sell other people's services into your contacts, and you get a share of any success fees. So you can monetize your black book, and it's a virtual sales force.
When you talk about money, it's quite interesting. Always show me the money.
So closing, it's all about closing.
It's all about closing and then finally getting the money in your bank. So
there you go. That's the sixth C, isn't it? It's the cash.
So the ScaleUpArena has a mechanism to get paid, or is it outside the system?
No, at the moment, it's done separately outside the system. We are shortly going to be introducing the ability to do micro consulting through the platform. And what that means is you'll be able to say, I want 2 hours of a comms expert in Hyderabad. And you can find your expert online, say, I want an hour of their time, click the button and schedule a time, and or go straight into a conf call where you basically present your payment. So, your hour may cost, I don't know, quite a few rupees or a few pounds. And then you pay straight on and go straight into the conf call. So it'd be like a rather Uber-esque model, but for micro consulting, for gig economy work.
And do you have a timeline when this will be ready? Why I'm asking this, Mike? Simply because this is the Achilles heel of any network. Because let's say if you have LinkedIn, there is no surety of getting the number one, work done. Number two, after the work is done, surety of getting the payments. So if there is a platform which can ensure both sides, buyers and sellers, come together and exchange their work as well as get the payment done, that will be very good.
That's what's going to happen. I reckon that it will be 3 to 4 months when that's available. And like I say, for now, we do that as a back-end office resource, and we counter that up. But the model is definitely the Uber-esque model, as I call it, is you say, I want a chief strategy officer. I want that really great guy, Mike Bradley. They say nice things about him to go on to the global markets and do strategic development. So they say, yeah, I want 2 hours of Mike's time to talk about something. They come in, they pay their 2 hours worth. I do my 2 hours worth of consultancy, and then the back end divvies out the money, and everybody gets paid. Everybody's happy, and then hopefully they'll review me and say, I have my discussion, my consultancy project, my iteration with Mike. He was brilliant. He's helped me to get into lots of strategic partners, or pointed me in the direction of debt-based funding, and I would recommend him to other people. That goes against my profile, and then the next person can find that, and they'll push me up the ratings for, go to Mike next time because he's a brilliant guy. He says modestly, not.
All right. I think this is all very exciting. But one last question I have, Mike, in case, when the matchmaking happens, when the buyer engages a gig worker for a matter of 2 hours, and then gig worker says that, hey, I have to deliver whatever you asked me to do it. There could be some communication gap, and after 2 hours, the buyer says, hey, you did not deliver up to the mark. So in those
Mhm.
cases, how ScaleUpArena will resolve these issues?
Well, of course, we hope that won't happen very often. It is going to happen, and when that happens, I think we will. Well, we've got a support mechanism for the ecosystem. So there's an email that you can send to support at scaleuparena.com. If you had to make in that sense, a complaint about somebody, then I think that's how we would handle it. Obviously, these things have to be done properly, and I think if I was the consultant in that case, I would say, okay, you got your 2 hours. What do you want to achieve in 2 hours? Let's agree that at the front of the call. And then you might say, well, actually, this is going to take 6 hours, not going to take 3 hours or 2 hours. So then let's agree that before we go through what we're going to achieve today, and then have another session or whatever. So I think it's all about meeting expectations and exceeding expectations. So it would be, sensible to have a formalized approach. If you're a gig consultant, if you like, or an advisor, then I think you have to be very clear what you can deliver, and that's you've got to put that in your profile on ScaleUpArena to say, these are my deliverables. If you have 1 hour, maybe we'll just evaluate your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. If we have 2 hours, we might get into ideation. If we get into 3 hours, we might get into a bit of execution discussion. So I think it's all about how you frame your solution, because you don't want people reviewing you badly. So you've got to make sure your proposition is right, your value is right, and it would be wrong to say you can boil the ocean in 1 hour. I think also expectations on the part of the buyer are important. I think it was Bill Gates. I hope I'm quoting him right, but Bill Gates said that you can achieve a lot more in 10 years. You can achieve a lot in 10 years, but you can't achieve very much. You don't achieve quite so much in 1 year. So life is about stepping stones. So I think you have to look at what the stepping stones are, and both the acquirer of the consultancy and the supplier of the consultancy need to agree very clearly up front. What is the stepping stones we're hoping to cover here? Because we're not going to jump the river in 2 hours, but we may just get onto the next stepping stone and help you go somewhere.
I think
That
very
would be
well
my
said.
assessment.
Yes,
On
Mike, I
that
think
one.
you mentioned very well, because the billing can be in 1 hour, but the result that you want to achieve may take 1 week. So
Mm.
I think that is the way the gig economy will flourish and will kickstart, and more people start engaging with each other. So I think
Mm.
my last word would be that since we have just started 2021, I think more and more people who are watching this program can register themselves with ScaleUpArena. I think it's a
Mm.
global platform where a lot of people can get benefit. You can be based anywhere in South Africa, India, Singapore, UK, US, and you can
Correct.
then pool your knowledge together, find new client base online, and you can then leverage your years of experience by coming to ScaleUpArena. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yes, Mike, you have any last words?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say the other thing I strongly recommend gig consultants to provide and to utilize on the ecosystem platforms that we have is the ability to run a briefing, because they can that your service is applicable to somebody, but a lot of people don't recognize that they have a need for it. So it's an education process. And you can use the briefing area, the learning and development, tutoring and training areas, to actually put a briefing together about why your solution and how your solution can support people. And so very much complement your entry on the site. So don't overlook the soft sell opportunity. to educate people on why they need your service. And that can be done on ScaleUpArena as well.
Absolutely. I think this is a very comprehensive system that you're talking about, and it's a real help to business people who want to really, spread themselves beyond boundaries, beyond countries, and your client can come from anywhere, from any can trade with you in any currency. So with this,
Absolutely.
I like to say that thank you very much for coming onto this show, Mike, and telling us about how Scale Up Arena can help the gig workers of the future. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Been a pleasure as always, Chandra. Have a good day.
Thank you and bye bye.
Goodbye.